From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
You want to go where to buy a new refrigerator? Steve's A to Z Appliance in Cottonwood? In Cottonwood? Just a 10-minute drive. And they'll save us money. New and used, honest, reliable, factory-trained repair service and parts, and they'll save us money. And dispose of this thing? We gotta make the short drive to Steve's A to Z. Thanks, son.
Steve's A to Z Appliance, front and main streets in Cottonwood. Drive a little, save a lot.
A quick reminder, there is a free Weather NorCal app if you're new here to Weather NorCal. So maybe you came across this video, maybe a friend told you to come check out this video, but also note that you can take and watch this video that you're watching right now and any of my latest updates right from your phone. But that's just where it starts, folks. I mean, everything that we offer here at Weather NorCal can be done right there from the phone. So go to your app store on your iPhone, your Android, search for Weather NorCal, download the app for free, and just check it out. Scroll around, see what it has to offer, and I think most likely you will be happy with what it has to offer. All right, let's take a look at our headlines. We've got a mix of sun and clouds today, and I think that's really going to be the trend over the next few days. Some days sunnier than others, and as a result, the temperatures may fluctuate by a few degrees. Each day we have those clouds, all right? So we have the breezy north winds at times, and I think today we're going to notice them this morning, especially in the valley and along the coast. Not as bad for many of the mountain locations, but yeah, those winds picking up a little bit here this morning and then probably dying out by the afternoon, and then maybe some more winds for tomorrow morning. But then we do have the dry and warm conditions through the weekend. So, you know, this weather we're experiencing now is pretty much what we're going to experience through the weekend and most likely even into early next week. But, right? Just when you thought that maybe the chances for rain were kind of moving on out of here, I'm beginning to see in the long range, and I'm seeing some agreement here. Timing is a little off here, but that sometime near the middle to latter part of next week, we're talking about the chance for some cooler, but not just cooler weather, maybe some wetter weather as well. And wouldn't you know, I have to laugh because it's just in time for cool April nights. And it just seems like, you know, we've always said this. It's like there's some kind of weird curse on cool April nights that everything can be okay kind of surrounding the event. But then as we get into the event, we tend to at least many times just at least get that threat for a passing sprinkle, a light shower, just enough to get those cars just a little bit wet during those show and shines. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot to happen between now and that time frame, but we'll have to watch for that potential. Now, look at the highs we saw yesterday. It depends on where you are, but basically in the upper 70s. Now, as I mentioned, some of us may touch that 80 degrees mark yesterday, and we did see that out at the Reading Airport, but Oroville about 76, and in the mountains in the 60s and 70s, but some of the cooler spots, obviously along the coast, and Alturas not warming up a whole lot either, only a high of about 59 degrees. Now, we look at your neighborhood forecast for today. Again, some of us could touch that 80-degree mark. It really does depend on how much cloud cover we have today and how long it sticks around. Believe it or not, even just a thin veil of high clouds can have a slight impact on those temperatures. But overall, more of the same today when we're talking about those temperatures, and I do expect a little bit more cloud cover. So again, the winds this morning, even into the noon hour today, still a bit breezy, gusty at times for the valley, and not to mention even along the coast. But you'll notice the mountains, it's actually not as bad. And then going into this afternoon and evening, the winds should start to subside. But I am seeing a trend for maybe some strong winds again for tomorrow morning for the valley. But then those should subside as we go into tomorrow afternoon. And then it looks like Friday, the wind's finally starting to kind of really no longer becoming a factor here. So yeah, just those nuisance breezy north winds here still continuing for the next couple of days here. Now, we do have some clouds out to our west that, again, is going to have an impact on our weather today, and that's why I'm calling for partly cloudy skies. It's mainly what we call fair weather clouds, so we'll probably still see some high and even a few mid-level clouds out there, and really the bulk of the activity is still well off to our west. But let's take a look at Futurecast, and we're going to take you through time here as we go and approach the weekend. Plenty of activity to our west, but you see how it's just kind of breaking apart as it moves eastward and heads closer to the landmass here. So this area of low pressure here, this cold front, you see that rain as it approaches even Canada. You just don't see much even for the Pacific Northwest. And of course for us, it's null and void when we're talking rain because we've got this weak ridge of high pressure. Now, this is what I like to call a dirty ridge of high pressure. What that means is typically with high pressure, we associate it with sunny skies. But because these storm systems are riding to our north, it's still allowing it to kind of flatten out that ridge a little bit and still allowing those clouds to kind of come in from time to time, really through the rest of the week and not to mention this weekend. Like I said, some days sunnier than others, but there will be some of those passing clouds. Then we go into early next week. Now, this is something I touched on yesterday, and I'm going to touch on again today. You see this little dip in the jet stream here. This is what we call a trough of low pressure. Second day that this forecast model on Monday is picking up on some type of activity on Monday. I think at this point it should be dry on Monday, but we will see a dip in our temperatures come Monday, and looks like this trough may stick around even into Tuesday of next week. But check this out. Now, the reason I'm extending this into Wednesday of next week is because you see this storm system, and all of this right here is a trough of low pressure with cooler air, and it's beginning to look like maybe the potential for some wet weather. Now again, don't get overly excited about this or upset, especially if you're concerned about cool April nights. This is something a trend that I'm watching. It's on my radar, and I want it to be on your radar as well, that it's something I'm watching very closely. So what does that mean? We'll keep a close eye on the forecast here as we get closer to next week, because this could be worse than what we're seeing here, or it could be a lot better. We'll see. You know, looking at the European forecast model, this is not here. It's all on top of Northern California. Of course, that goes into next Thursday as well. But again, we're not going to, set it in stone just yet, but just note that it's something I'm monitoring very closely. And again, even the Climate Prediction Center is picking up on this toward the end of this month. There you see it, right? It's getting us in that barely above normal category, right? So that doesn't really necessarily mean that, oh man, it's going to be a complete washout. No, this is just saying, hey, listen, there's a chance that we could be looking at some of those showers out there. And on top of that, those temperatures starting to drop. Those above normal temperatures we're experiencing now may drop down closer to near normal to just below normal for this time of the year. So cooler and wetter, as I was mentioning, possibly. Again, that's a trend that we're watching very closely. Let's take a look at your wave heights, and you can see they're actually starting to retreat a little bit here as we go into your Thursday. But with that said, still pretty high today, and as a result, there is a small correct advisory through this afternoon. So just be aware of that if you do need to be out on a small boat here for today. All right, let's get to your Trinity County neighborhood forecast with those temperatures in the low to mid 70s for your daytime high. 69 degrees for Trinity Center, 71 for Lewiston, and 69 degrees for Ruth. We take you out to the north coast into central and southern Humboldt County, 61 Shelter Cove, Eureka, 58, and 64 degrees in Blue Lake. Up to the north for Del Norte, northern Humboldt County, there's 71 for Smith River, 61 for Oric, and 74 degrees for Hoopa. So yeah, I mean, just a gorgeous day temperature-wise. But again, take note, there will be some clouds out there you'll notice here for today. 65 degrees for Fort Jones. I will say this. As you head north into Siskiyou County, I think there probably will be more in the way of sunshine, but as you start heading south of Siskiyou County, probably more clouds. And that would also include Modoc County, not seeing as much cloud cover as well, but I'm still putting some of those clouds in there here for this afternoon. Now, for the eastern mountains, partly cloudy skies, temperatures mainly in the 60s, but some of those lower elevations like Paradise, Shingletown, around 70. 71 degrees for Greenville, and Quincy about 74 degrees for that daytime high. Now for the Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by NorCal Tractor, I've got temperatures once again in the mid to upper 70s for your daytime highs. And again, some of us could touch that 80-degree mark. But for the most part, I'm going to keep it around 78, 79. Palisadro, I've got you at 80. But again, it just depends on where you are. I think the north end of the valley has a better chance of seeing that 80-degree mark for today. Let's take a look at your 7-day forecast for Redding. And again, temperature's actually warming up a little bit here. And I think the peak will be over the weekend. We'll see kind of a little spike upwards over the weekend before we start to see temperatures begin to drop again going into Monday, Tuesday, and in particular by the middle and latter part of next week.